Abdul Kul Bazum Tafel Tat Wadana Bet Mabu Hadis Aishu Yunakalu. Anuki Fian Aishu Shukalu Wakula Shukalun. Na at the Kuna Fikalu. Anuki Ferragun Shukalu Wakalukala Ferragun Shum. Anuki Wahid Kakalu Wakalukalu Wahid Man. Nuk Aikilu Anjihu Kama Ferragun Shukalu Hukama Feidu. Nuk Aikilu Ahwenu Budik Nuka Fizu Fikalu. Kama Tawu Kama Kafazi Kalu Ami Fikalu. Anuki kebe hawa kalu nanuki kalu yaku ekilu kalu bamu amilu. Okay, that say begin our prayers, deeds, and thanking with who? Divine love and awe. I am in the love of all, and all love is me. We are all in all. I am a part of all, and all is a part of me. I am one with all, and all is one with me. I can succeed as a part of all and fail as an individual. I can be all I wish in all as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. All is I am. All can I can. All does I do.
While their brothers pulling it up, I just want to share my testimony with the Holy Tablets. I first bought my first Holy Tablet in 1996 on the land. A few years later after that, it was revised, right? So I bought the revised version, and that's the version I'm reading from right now. I think it has the Nuwapo script on the front of it.
Well, how many versions, brother, of the Holy Tablets are there?
I'm not certain, man. I think I lost count in like a third reprint. I saw a Holy Tablet with the hieroglyphic Nuwapo script, and then I've got the other script, the Riskiun script that's on the front of it. So, then the original one had the English print on it. So I count 3 from my memory.
That's right. It's only 3.
First chapter of the Holy Tablets is called The Creation. El is the Clag. Begin on acts and thinking by using El Kalum, the All. And the tablet 1 is the epic of creation and before. And a lot of you are maybe already familiar with I thought Nubian song that Dr. York put out, in the early 2000s. It was the intro to the Holy Tablets. So we're going to go over the first page of the Holy Tablets, actually first 3 pages for this session tonight. And the receiver, Naya Malakazi, Dr. York L, of course, Dr. Malakazi York. Pray of the Ansars. All right, so we're hitting the first page right about here. All right. Now, normally when I'm going over a session with right knowledge, I always ask for 2 volunteers, a male and a female. Do we have a male and a female volunteer who would help me read? Because I'm going to start this off, and then I'm going to pass it on, and then we'll rotate, and then we'll stop, and then we'll discuss it. And if anyone has questions, we'll address the questions, and then we'll go to the next page. So that's how the format will be. All right, so this is the first page of the Holy Tablets, chapter 1, the creation. I'll start off by reading the first half of the page. If any time, because we got like 6 people in the room right now, so if any time anyone has any questions, feel free to kind of chime in, but I'm going to go ahead and go in first here. The epic of creation and before, 19 times 6 equals 114, right? Lo, O my children, allow me to speak with you, for it's that time again. Every 25,000 years for the renewal of your way of life, Nuwapo. Let me speak with you of the beginnings of life, before and after the knowledge bestowed upon you and your very own creation, and the making of this planet you call Earth, and the many other planets of which you have no knowledge of. Your soul, that is the emotional you, is about to embark upon a journey through time and space within existence, through a time not encountered by Behemoth, the human beast, and the human beings. I'll pause right there. As I'm reading, sometimes I'll pause and I'll comment on it so we can open it up later for discussion. So it's breaking down 2 different groups, the Behemoth, the human beast, and the human, the beings, right? 2 different groups. The children of the Allahum being the human beings, the human being of who, creative force of will, and Meme, also Mamie, meaning deity of birth, which is another name for Mother Ninti, who gave birth to mortals. Many of you may be familiar with the story of Mother Ninti and how she helped Inki, Nagal, and Rishkigal basically breed us human beings, the Nuwapo, right? The human beings of who created force of will and the main from the Latin spiritus of the dead. Within the confines of the Holy Tablet, you shall embark upon the knowledge which has never before been made so clear as this for you by any. Let me start by telling you about the beings that existed trillions of Earth years ago, before the Precambrian period, before you human beings were created in the physical form upon the planet Tiamat, now called Earth. From the word Iridu, there existed supreme beings of pure green light, ethereal, right? So that's the first half of the Holy Tablets. Now, I'm pretty sure everyone's familiar with this page, but when I start reopening the Holy Tablets, like I randomly do sometimes, I'll go back to like the very first page of the tablets, because I always had questions about the creation story, right? As we read on, we'll find out that there were 3 creationary periods when we're dealing with our story about our creation. And it goes back 76 trillion years ago, right? So are there any questions at this point in time based on the introductory page, that first half of the Holy Tablets? I'll take that as a no. All right, so I need one volunteer that's a man and one volunteer that's a woman to help read like half and half of the next section of the first page. So I'm gonna call out it'd be Ray and how about Salim?
You want Salim to start?
Yes, sir.
Number 5. You cannot fully comprehend their beginnings because their time zone is much greater than your ability to comprehend at this point. That this very tablet which you are holding in your hand will open your eyes to their time zones that are in and beyond space. 6. These supreme beings called Anunnaki or Neteru, whose way of life was called Nuwapo, were endowed by the El Kalum, the All, or All, with a superior overstanding, 720 degrees in all, 360 degrees of spiritual or ethereal state, the circle, and the 360 degrees of the physical material state, the square.
Right, pause right there, brother, pause right there. Physical and the spiritual, the ethereal state and the physical state. You know, back in the day, Pops always talked about the 360 agreeable, the 360 disagreeable, right? And even within man, human beings, we have 180 disagreeable, 180 agreeable. They always show you symbolic gestures growing up where it shows people making decisions and they have a small version of themselves on both sides of their shoulders, a seraphim symbolic and then a cherubim symbolic. That's what it's breaking down right there. Basically, the nature of them is 360, 360. And then later on, we'll find out that the nature of man is 180 and 180. But go ahead, brother.
7. Glory be to the one appointed, who is called in tones Anu, and on earth El Elo, known to many by different titles, and the best of which is known to you as Ansar, is a law in which he is 360 degrees of the physical world, and the light of his heaven and earth in which he is also.
Right. Let me step in right here. Y'all notice in 7, is a glory be to the one appointed, it's talking about Anu, also known as El Elo, also known as Allah, right? That Anu, that's a being, that's a position, that's hell, right? It's talking about this supreme being right here. And throughout different phases, he's taking you through the phases right now. Anu would be the Sumerian or the cuneiform title. El Elo would be the Hebrew, right, title. And then Allah would be the Arabic or the Islamic title. Still breaking down like the different phases that he took us through. The Hebrew school, the Islamic school, the Sumerian school, right? All right. Miss, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We also refer to him as seats, right?
Absolutely. That position, that Anu is a seat. Right. All right, so that's 7, right? Can we get a sister to read 8 on down to 10? If anyone has any questions, let me know.
You should know that eventually the time will come when these supreme beings, Anunnaki, would have to descend upon this planet Earth in order to guide the inhabitants back towards their home in and beyond the stars, thereby helping them to become once again the supreme beings of the pure green light, ethereal energy that they once were. But first, one must be sent to prepare a way, and that one is myself.
Yeah, let me interrupt you right quick. That myself, that's referring to the author. Everyone already knows who the master teacher is. You know, Malachi Zadok, Dr. Malachi Zadok, he was the receiver of this information. So that's definitely talking about him. And as you go back and you read, and you kind of, if you listen to the actual song when they thought you being taken, you could probably YouTube it right now, the Holy Tablets, Dr. Malachi Zadok. And as you go through the intro, if you can go back, you know, when you're by yourself, read the first page while he's walking through it, right? You'll kind of get a sense of a lot of this is like he's telling you the story of his memory, which is really our memories, where we come from, right? So I took it personal when I opened this up when I was younger and I started listening to him walk through the story. I'm like, oh, this is a personal experience. And all our culture has become religion on this planet. So that's what I kind of got from that up until that moment. But go ahead, sis, please.
And so it was, for once humans became rulers over the planet Earth, you gradually forgot that your purpose in life was to gain your way back towards...
All right, let's go ahead and flip over to the next page. And if you'll read, please, at least halfway down to the other, this page here, I'll take it from there. So if you read down to like 13, I'll take it from there.
Okay, towards the sustainer, which would be the token home. But instead you became engrossed in your own desires.
Okay, so let's pause up right there. I like to pause up, so don't take offense to it, please. But when it's talking about your own desires, right? I know we have class a lot. I know we've read a lot, we've studied a lot, we've taught a lot of people, and we've been taught by a lot of people. But when the essence comes down to it, on this journey to us to ascend or become higher or get back home, the old man, Dr. York, is breaking it down right here, your own desires. So, you know, I'm guilty of it. We all are. Everybody has desires that keep them bound to certain levels of low frequency type of shit. That's what we're talking about, right? So it's kind of like an amnesia wake-up call when I'm reading the first page, seeing that news picture, then going to the second page. It's like, wow, okay, this is family history. You follow what I'm saying? All right, sis, go ahead.
While in pursuit of physical gratification and material gain, humans forgot the purity with which they were formed.
Right, I'm sorry. I'm going to stop you every verse and just put some input in it. So I'm going to go ahead and warn you. But when I'm reading verse 11, while in pursuit of the physical gratifications and the material gain, that's pretty much niggas getting the bag. They're making everything about the money. They're making everything about success. They're making everything about profit.
Now, we're back on that ass about this Shambhala and Agartha. By this scroll is actually Mission Earth and the extraterrestrial involvement. But look at the cover. So now we got the actual Mission Earth and the extraterrestrial involvement. So let's compare the two. Oh, you see this is inside the cover? Authored by Malachi Z. York. You see that? You see the symbol? So let's go to this. So let's see what we got here. Oh! Expo. It's the same exact thing. Oh, this is the real Mission Earth. Yeah. Yeah, they're getting people. So if you don't look out, you think you got Shambhala and Agartha, you get home, you got Mission Earth. But damn, we already got this book.
That's pretty much niggas getting the bag. They're making everything about the money. They're making everything about success. They're making everything about profit. So we got to be careful of that, because the master teacher warned us that there'll come a time, there'll be groups of us that are only involved with things because of the money. So that kind of made me reflect on it when he brought down the physical gratification. You know, we want to be glorified. All right, go ahead, sis.
As a result, you have strayed from the original ways of the universe and the spiritual path that led you to your true destiny. Universal right knowledge, right wisdom, and right overstanding onto sound right reasoning called Nuwapo. Nuwapo informs you that there were three creations.
Original or primary creation, primaritus, from primus first. Before the lightest atom, hydrogen energies existed as a form of energy existing in the form of gases. 9 levels of them, from quarks to biops to zades, zales, referred to as subatomic energy. Before weight or the sum of any weight, registering as nothingness, yet existing, being lighter than the first form of existence, which is hydrogen. So to put it in another form, we all went to school into chemistry class. We know that there's 99 elements that make up the world, plus the man-made elements. So from those 99 elements, what these guys have done, they've taken the weight of the lightest element and called it the first element, on down to the 99th element. So the first element on Earth that's the lightest is hydrogen. It's like H1 on the periodic table. If you guys Google that and pull up that page of the periodic table, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's about 99, 101, what they classify as man-made. Natural elements, and the rest of them are like man-made. I think we up to like maybe 115 to 121 right now, because they've been making new elements all the time, right? So the primary creation is talking about all the elements that were lighter than hydrogen. That's taking us to the etheric side of existence, right? Anybody familiar with the periodic table that I'm talking about? Do y'all remember that in chemistry school or biology class growing up? That are lighter than what we can measure them. And the old man used to say back in the day, he said before the creator created something, he had to create nothing. And I always used to ask, like, what are you talking about? What we consider nothing, whatever's lighter than zero is nothing to us. So in all that nothingness is another whole level of existence. That's the etheric realm. So that's what I'm getting from that. So that's the primary creation. Right? The secondary, or what they call the evolutionary creation, the evolving of existence from density to matter, to atoms, to cells, to organs, to organisms, to bodies. And then you got territory, or the tertiary, tertiarius, from tertiarius, third or ghostational creation, the breath of life, the living soul, the existing conscious being. So we'll always have to come back and elaborate on this a little bit more, but if anyone has any questions about the primary, the secondary, and the third or the tertiary creation, this is what it's talking about. Primary is the etheric side of it, or subatomic particles. Everybody's ever seen the movie Ant-Man. He got a suit where he can become subatomic, and it's a whole other universe on that side. So that's the etheric realm of what we call an existence on that side. The secondary creation is evolution. When the Anunnaki came throughout certain galaxies that they created and planets that they created, they put seeds on them. They evolved into things called us and animals. So that's the secondary creation that it's talking about. The third creation is when things start to die off and form new things, right? Even the ghostational creation is what it's talking about. So 15, primary creation was performed by the 9 ether beings, simply the Etherians, whose science is Nuwapo. 9 ether represents birth, conception as in 9, and birth, or the sum total of numbers. There are no numbers actually higher than 9. Nuwapo means to convey a message that results in sound right reasoning. So there must be a conveyor and a listener of the message. So this last verse right here, this 15th, when it's talking about the primary creation was performed by 9 ether beings, simply Etherians, whose science is Nuwapo, 9 ether, right? The Etherians are not even physical. They're Etherians. You know, and I always used to think, you know, even within the tabernacle at certain times, we used to have different ways where we perceive things. You know, sometimes it was the men on one side and the women on the other side. And I heard Pop say himself, once you get to a certain level, there is no sex. You just energy. You're Etherian. You know what I'm saying? So it kind of makes you think there's really some stuff higher than what we are perceiving right now as male and female. But yeah, let me get another brother to start reading at where I left off at on page 3 on the second side of the Holy Tablet page.
Where are we, brother?
Yeah, it's just not. Yeah, you can actually just go above 16 and just pick up from the word the. I already read it in the listener of the message. So just pick up from the word the and just carry it on for me.
The message is life. The conveyor is existence. 3 sets of 3 or triple darkness. First set, before light, before energy, before matter. Second set, before time, before space, before place. Third set, before body, before soul, before spirit. 16. 9 ether is the combination of all existing gases of nature. Nothing anywhere can be as powerful as all of the existing gases. On Earth, these gases are known as radon, symbol Rn, with an atomic number of 26, xenon, symbolized Xe, with an atomic number of 54, krypton, symbolized Kr, with an atomic number of 36.
Pause up, brother. Pause up 1 second. I hate to interrupt you, but notice they say krypton, right? That whole Superman legacy is based off this element. That's where he came from. It's krypton. So it's like, even growing up, there were always seeds that were planted that I was exposed to. Even though it was considered comic book madness to a certain extent, they were always taking our stuff and mixing it in and giving it to the kids. We see a lot of this play out in a lot of these superhero movies. A lot of these superhero movies were based on ancient characters. They just flip it,
No doubt.
But go ahead, brother.
Argon, Ar, with an atomic number of 18. Neon, symbolized Ne, with an atomic number of 10. And helium, symbolized He, with an atomic number of 2. These are also called the noble gases. On a periodic or elemental chart, on the physical chart. However, on the ethereal chart, they are listed as thus: E21, E2, E10, E18, E26, E36, and E54. And note the word element and elementary from elementum, first principle, rudiment, beginning, used as elementary, the beginning without importance as of yet. 17. Therefore, 9 ether is the most potent power in all the boundless universes. 9 ether is the original creator who grew all the universes. 9 ether beings utilize the forces that yield energy versing energy into one form, the universe.
That's right.
Uni meaning uni, from unis, one, and verse meaning vertere, to turn a spiral, spiraling out from a single point. Wow, that's deep. Create. 18, creation from the word creare, to bring forth, create, produce, to cause to grow, means growth into form, system. Destruction means change in form or composition. 9 ether is conscious and conscience gases.
Pause right there, brother. That whole side that he just read is fire, and I'll tell you why. Right? He's giving you the formula of what 9 ether is here on Earth. These 9 gases clashing together, they become conscious. That's who and what we really were or are. Those are our people. Before we had bodies, before we manifested in physical form, we were conscious gases. Then we slowed down in vibration, right? And that was a place created for us to do that in. This dimension was created, right? These elements were created. Notice by who? By El. That's why they say elements. Going back to El Elo, right? Elo, the El there, definite article, the source. There was somebody with wisdom and knowledge doing this. It created these states on this physical side. but it's giving you that formula for the etheric side of where our people really come from and how they move. They created all of this. I want y'all to get that in your subconscious and your conscious. Our people created everything that exists in the etheric side of it. You follow what I'm saying? But go ahead, bud. I think you had a question.
Oh, well, yeah. Calling that we're talking about how that they depict these things in movies and characters and things. And I recall in childhood, the show is still going on in Star Trek. And in one episode, they had these beings, and they were ethereal beings, and they entered into human bodies for a brief time. It was they were talking about how they had developed to just not needing their bodies anymore. Yeah, anybody recall that episode?
I recall that episode. That's our story. They take from us and they put it in what they call science fiction.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But some of that is science faction because they're getting it from the ancients. So that's really real. That's what we live in right now as an experience. We etheric beings having this physical human experience. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'll try to post that if I find that episode.
Yeah, man, please post that. Please post that. I'm gonna take it on to like the next page, family. The Melanites. Flip this page over. Looks like Malat, sister of Murdoch. The Melanites, original woolly-haired, dark-skinned Moors, came along with the original creation. So when the Etherians personified, he's telling you what they look like. Original woolly-haired, dark-skinned Moors came along with the original creation. This is the same kind of ether forces that grew the universes. So when the Etherians became people, this is what they look like, right? It's right there. As nature was growing, these Melanites were a part of the original growth. Melanin grew with the original creation. To come along with a thing is to grow with or within it. 6 ether are 9 points from ether 1 into darkness. Let me repeat that. 6 ether are 9 points from ether 1 into darkness. The Melanites manifest from point 1 in hydrogen on into 9 elements. The 8th being oxygen for life. The dot, the navut, is the point of origin of things, the first sun. I'll tell you, I'll share with your family. And I can't remember why I did this, but for some reason I got this verse 20 highlighted in my holy tablet. And it's a very old highlight. It says, therefore, the Melanites and their evolutionary descendants are the personification of the original creative forces, who, 7 in all, as the 7 species of Riskians. You have 7 species of Melanites, or Nuwapians, called Negroids. You have 3 species of Mongoloids and 2 species of Caucasoids, all growing out of the original Nuwapians. Simply, these Melanites created the universes in their etheric form. Now, that's going to have to be the next study session with the Holy Tablets, but I got this highlighted for a reason because I took it deep, family, over the last umpteen years. When it's talking, you follow me? When it says 7 species of Riskians, we always taught that the Riskians had 7 clones or 7 doves of themselves, not knowing that that's related to what this is stating, but that's what the memory made me recall. 7 species of Riskians, 7 species of Melanites, or Nuwapians, called Negroids. So let me translate that. There's 7 different types of niggas. It's saying it right here. You have 3 species of Mongoloids, and then 2 of Caucasoids, all grown out of the original Nuwapians from us. Simply, these Melanites created the universes in their etheric form. So 21, when I read verse 21, page 5 of the Holy Tablets, to me, that's killing a lot of the rhetoric and confusion that I used to grow up with. And then coming into the tabernacle, still learning in that phase of Islam, going into Hebrew, going into the Sumerian scrolls, but reading 21, simply these Melanites created the universes in that etheric form. So our people created this, all of it. So it's like when that really sit down in you, it's like, to me, it made like a higher connection, or like a higher self moment, like an aha moment. Like, damn, man, we down here wilding out on on a lot of BS most of the time.
I got a promise I made that Daddy would always be there. But Daddy been running the streets. I want you to know that I care. But Daddy been running in beef. You know that your father is fair. But Daddy gonna tell you the truth, so his daughter would never be scared. Don't go looking for no one like me. A good man go to school and he work. Don't be looking for thugs that's up in the club selling drugs and be popping them first. Represent me right.
You're not living up to our higher expectation of self. We could do a lot better, family. You know what I'm saying? I know I can. So let me get another brother or sister. Go ahead. You got a question?
When you first started reading the beginning of the scroll, and this part, I always pay attention to everyone because you know we are the house of who. And if you understand, at the very beginning of the first page, it went into who right away, and right here is speaking of who. So he was always into who and breaking down who from the beginning, because he tells you right here that these original beings are what? Therefore, the Melanites and their evolutionary descendants are the personification of the original what? Creative force. Who? So everything starts with who.
There's no creative force.
It has nothing to do with no Sabeans and none of that. If you go back to the first page, he's going to tell you what about who and what it represents. So he started right off from the beginning explaining who, because who is the what? Very beginning. It's the nature of all natures. You can't get away from it. You can't even speak or breathe any word without pronouncing who, because you wouldn't be alive. So he's telling you it's the cause of all sounds, of all elements, of all energies, of all everything. It is who? Nature of all natures.
Right.
Excuse me. I don't want to.
No. Hey man, this is when I teach a class, but this is how we teach. This is how we learn. We do this together. So it's nobody really interrupted me. You feel me? So it's like if anyone has any input at any time, just say, "Excuse me, let me say something." By all means, man.
But you understand the 7-pointed star in our shield and that throne that represents something with the pinkies up.
Yeah. Appreciate that, family. That 21, I'm telling y'all, that verse 21 is the fire. And like that brother said earlier, he's breaking down the who in the very beginning. First three pages, he's killing us with the who, letting us know what it's about. So when the brother came and revealed that house of who, I already knew. Just based on the first 3 pages of the tablets, which explains why the Sabeans want to say the tablets are outdated and they don't want to touch them and use them. They don't want to teach from them. They don't want to debate with them. They want to get totally away from the tablets because the foundation is here. It's letting you know from the very beginning, right? All right, so I'm going to read on 22 to 25, and then I'm going to let this brother or sister read on the second half. All right. So 22, non-ether then personified themselves as flesh and blood beings. They became human beings from atoms to atom. And that's real on the atomic level to becoming a man or a woman. There are 2 kinds of ether, non-ether and 6 ether in human form. Non-ether, Negroid, produce 6 ether consciousness, and 6 ether produce ghosts, death. Not to be mistaken with the ethers of hair that range from 6, 7, 8, and 9 in hair texture, from flat to hollow to round, right? Non-ether, well, let me get back. Round would be us, hollow would be Asian, flat would be Caucasian, right? 24, non-ether will become 6 ether through time and age and die. 6 ether becomes ghost through time and age. 6 ether, albinos, is non-ether. Nuwapians in death, and ghost is the death of 6 ether. When I read that, that's a science too. They were grafted. You know what I'm saying? When we talk about these caucasoids, they were grafted out of us, right? And depleted of melanin. So I always read that, and even in the book called The Science of Nuwapo, he's breaking down the non-ether and what that means. And for the longest, if you go back and you really do your research and you look down these 3 races, just the Negroid, the Mongoloid and the Caucasoid, right? How it was given to us, it was given to us in 2 forms. a biblical context and a scientific context. I'm gonna go with the scientific context first. Right? These mongoloids that came out of us mixing back in with the Caucasoids, and it created an additional gene or chromosome, right, within the offspring. We normally have 46 chromosomes, 23 from the mother, 23 from the father, giving each human child 46 chromosomes in their genome. Well, when we mixed in with these Caucasoids, and there was another group that mixed in, it threw off the genes to like 46 and a half to 47. So they had an extra chromosome, which made them have the phenotype of Down syndrome, right? So if you look at Mongoloids or Asians, the phenotype is a Mongoloidism. And Mongoloidism, you go back and look at that was always synonymous with Down syndrome, the way the eyes slant and the extra flesh up under the eyes to make them look slanted, right? And the head shape and the body shape, right? So the Mongoloids came about from us mixing in with the Caucasoids, right? But the Negroids were the first race, right? So I want to get a volunteer to read on that second half. It can be a brother, it can be a sister. If anyone has any questions, let me know.
Okay. After the death of 6 Ether, 9 Ether resurrects again. 6 Ether is the moon and 9 Ether is the sun. Hence, 6 Ether is adverse to 9 Ether, just as death is adverse to life. All this takes place within the all. It was then that the true force of the universe personified those supreme beings. The original Melanites, dark-skinned, woolly-haired Moors, personified by both sound and electric energy, both positive and negative. Electro, from modern Latin electricus, meaning resembling, amber. Amber being negative, and magnetic from Latin magnetis. Lodestone being positive.
Pause right there, sis. Pause right there. I gotta say something. This right here, I really want y'all to circle that 31. And I'm gonna have to circle that 31 because he's breaking down some science right here. Both the positive and the negative. He's letting you know our nation. The positive and the negative. Electricity or electric or magnetic, right? Now we know electricity has two sides. It has a positive and a negative, right? But you gotta have that negative charge to make the stuff work, to make it go. You feel me? So when you look at the magnetic side of it, right? And I had to really think about this, fam. I want to share this thought with y'all. There's some of us that project mentally electric, and there's some of us that project mentally magnetic. And the difference is, with magnetism, you attract things to you. With electricity, you can propel things away from you. So a lot of people, what they're thinking, and I say electric thinking, if it's always about the self and the greed and what you gonna do for yourself, then I feel like that's more of electric thinking. When it's more of like an encompassing thing, or you better in yourself or your soul or your family or your group or your tribe, I feel like that's more magnetic. That was just something that I've been vibrating on for a minute. But go ahead, sis. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Okay. Light, or the Illuminati, being electro, and the light spectrum being magnetism. The cosmic ray for emerald being from 001 nanometer, nana, the deity sin meter, mother or meter, intones mater, meaning matter or material form, to 99,000 miles. Nanometer is the modern term used preferred over angstrom, used in measuring visible light. 1 nanometer is 10 to the negative 9th. I can see that.
Yeah.
9. Okay, 1 billionth of a meter, and is equal to 1 angstrom, being a unit of length equal to 100 millionth of a centimeter, used especially to specify radiation wavelengths.
Pause right there, sis. Pause right there. The old man, the master teacher, every time he tell us something, he'll tell us where the name came from. So what we're witnessing right now, we're witnessing in physics. I don't know if anybody's familiar with physics. I took a class but didn't do well back in the day. But in physics, the names and the titles that they use are based on our old school ancestors, our people. You know what I'm saying? Good or bad. When you talk about Nana or Sin, right, and all these other rules of measurement, they really getting this from us. But go ahead, sis, please.
Light is defined by wavelengths, which is the measure of the distance from one peak or top of a wave of light or energy to another. Cosmic rays being...
I got the last page. I'm going to go ahead and do this fourth page, and then we can have a discussion and a question and answer session. And y'all can stop me at any time if it gets something you want to say. All right, the shortest and the longest being electric power, 34. Between the two are gamma rays, which is electric radiation sent from radioactive decay ranging from 10,000 to 10 million electron volts, X-rays, which is relatively high energy, photon or amount of electric energy used for penetration power, and ultraviolet light rays, which are a range of invisible radiation ranging from 4 nanometers to 380 nanometers, just beyond the color violet in the visible spectrum. Infrared light rays, a range of invisible radiation bordering along microwaves, about 750 nanometers. Microwaves, a high frequency electromagnetic wave measuring 1 millimeter to 1 meter in length. Television waves, right? So pause right here. The master teacher was breaking it down to the micro to the macro. He letting you know everything that's in a wave format. These are personifications of energy and measurements that we actually created, right? So now we're getting down to television waves, right? The transferring of visual images and sound using electromagnetic waves. This is why TV can either push you away or magnetize your ass, because they're using electromagnetic waves, right? Right? Into visual images, radio waves, right? A wireless transmission through space with the frequency of 10 kilohertz to 300,000 megahertz, right? I think it's important that we get familiar with megahertz and frequencies and sound. We always talk about raising our vibration, but we need to define what the hell does that mean, right? With raising your vibration, you enter different fields of the light spectrum, because both sound and light vibrate at these at these measurements that Pops is breaking down. They vibrate at wavelengths, right? So when you get time, everyone Google, you look at the 7 chakras in us. Each chakra has a certain color, from the root being red all the way up to the crown, which is violet, right? And you break down at what frequency do these colors vibrate. It'll kind of give you a pattern of what type of foods you should eat, what type of music you should listen to. Go research your music and figure out what frequency most of your music is vibrating at. And it'll kind of explain why people behave the way they do. Whatever we ingest with the TV, with the radio, with the food, these are just frequencies. All right, so that's what he's breaking down at this point in time. All right.
Cool. There being actually, for us, 9 chakras, that it was explained that the 7 actually belonged to the Edomites.
Okay.
We were actually given 9. It was a school we was going through where we were learning to purge them and to use them, and everybody got a little dumbfounded with it. So I think he kind of backed away from it a little bit.
Okay, all right.
But I'm listening to this, and as I listen to this, and I'm listening to that whole story about electricity and magnetism, and how we tend to draw things in and not really release. We don't use that electromagnetic energy that we have in us, because we're constantly drawing other people's energies in, other people's cultures, other people's identities, and not using our own. I think this is, this whole chapter here that we've read so far is so profound. I see why these Negroes is telling us to put this book down. I go back to when Doc taught us about the Nukta. The Nukta was supposed to have been the first thing created, that dot.
Right.
And everything expanded from there. And this really breaks it down. It takes it to a whole other level. Cool.
Yep. Thank you, bro. Let me see. 36. There is also the visible spectrum, which runs from 400 nanometers to 700 nanometers in the wavelength. Nanometers being 1 billionth, 10 to the 9th power of a meter from the word nana, the Sumerian deity sin. The meter from the Greek metron, meaning measure, with all the light flowing through a prism or a medium that represents whatever is seen through it, used to separate white light coming from the late Latin prisma, from the Greek prisma, thing, sawed off, prism, from prien or prisian to saw. The light becomes 6 colors: yellow, blue, green, orange, and purple. Light in its exceptic or expheric form is an atomic level. So he's breaking down that light, and I've studied this from Pops many times, and also other great teachers, that everything can be measured, right? Even light has weight because light has a restriction. Light only travels at a certain speed, 200 something thousand miles per hour, right? I think it's 280 something thousand miles per second, miles per second. So light can be weighed. Light has weight, just like these vibrations that he's talking about can be measured. So can light, right? And it goes a little bit deeper than that because we're physical, right? But we have light within us, and we also have thoughts. Thoughts have a weight. Thoughts have a mass, right? They did these scientific experiments for decades with water, right? They would take 2 glasses of water, right? And before they would put them in the same room for people to drink them, they would do things to the water, like play soothing music for 1 glass of water, and they would play some disruptive rock music to the other glass of water. And when the people came in and they drank the water, the frequency of the water had been changed by the resonance of the music, right? And it affected the behavior of the people that drank it. The shit sound crazy, but it's true. Okay? So the frequency and the vibration, that's a real thing. And if I can get one more brother to go ahead and close it out on page 7. On page 6, you'll see the Riskins or the elders, right? If I can get one more brother, go ahead and close it out. I got 38 highlighted in my holy tablet for a reason. And it's about to get nice, family. So can I get one brother to go ahead and read 38 on down?
I will, brother. When you see full spectrum light in its physical state, it manifests as blackness. That is all light and color combined are blackness. And the manifestation of the solid form of light is melanin. 39. Thus, they manifested from the great circle and throne of wisdom to this merger place. 40. This is how the events of creation and pre-creation were recorded. When life existed in and beyond the stars, the all is and will be. 41. Felt within a love, a divine love that is unknown or felt by those disagreeable beings, and thus emotions were, at the first birth of emotions, was the birth of motion. 42. Things gradually began to move about, and it was when that movement and motion was conceived out of triple darkness, for the light birthed the chaos. 43. Thus, the motion to create did manifest in existence, and all that exists within the all. 44. Thus things became what they were to become known, as before they existed, or what they would exist as. 45. Thus, this is true, caring if you say you love Anu. Then why do you not have faith in Anu, who is also known as El Elo? 46. Who is called in rhythm Allah by the Muslims, meaning ones who are of peace. Be on your guard, for they have been invaded by the disagreeable one's children as well.
Pause right there, brother. Pause right there. That's really 4 pages for the Holy Tablet session for this evening. But as the brother was going down, I highlighted 38. I probably highlighted this about at least 10 years ago. So I highlighted it in green. And as I'm listening to the brother read it, he's breaking down the light spectrum and how it manifests. He's also talking about the divine love, right? And this is something that I was just noticing as the brother was reading, right? For those of y'all who are following along with what he was reading, this is why I like to use the books to do the teaching sessions or the classes, because as we listen to this brother read and we kind of follow it with our eyes, even you guys are doing this with me. When I make a mistake on a word or something like that, it's like you correct. I heard everybody correct it in their mind when he said merger. It was meager. I heard that. You feel me? Because we're so focused on this right now. So I wanted to say I appreciate everybody for volunteering to read, because sometimes reading is a fearful thing, family. Real talk. But I want to open everything up for discussion with these first 4 pages of the Holy Tablets, because brother brought up a good point of why certain offshoots from the Nuwapians, don't want to use the tablets. And some of us have kind of put them down or forgot about them, but, I followed the master teacher since 91, since I was a kid, right? And I heard him even say that he was writing the book then that was going to break down everything that we kind of needed to know about our history for 25,000 years. So in 96, when he said, this is it, and I bought it, and I started reading it, and I got the revised version, which to me read better because the publisher made a bunch of mistakes on purpose in the first one. They kind of jack it up a little bit. So he started revising it with different publishers, right? When I got this version of the tablets that we're reading right now, the clarity and the comprehension of it, because, we read these books to comprehend them, the comprehension for me was a lot more clear than the first version that was messed up on purpose by the publishers, right? So as I go down and he's breaking down, thus the motion to create did manifest in existence, and all that exists within the all, right? It made me think about when he said emotion, and the emotion is energy in motion, right? We created these energies and we put them in motion. So it's kind of like we created emotions. And if we created emotions, what do we have? So it kind of let me know that, when I look at my people, black people, we are over emotionalized like a mother. We the most emotional people on the planet, right? But the original version of us wasn't like that, because we created emotions. And usually we created them to balance out lower subplanes, because the higher up you go, the less emotional you become. There's certain balances you got to have in your mentality. So, this is kind of like something I wanted to do for a long time, family, is get a chance to sit down and talk with family about the Holy Tablets, especially the first 3 to 4 pages, right? I think right now, I want to go back to the first page that brother was talking about. You had mentioned something about the who.
Cool. Now, does it sound like it's outdated, y'all?
Not at all. Not in the least.
But the only thing that I think that might need to be updated is the all versus the all. Other than that, I don't. This thing is just dynamic, man.
Yeah, Rahubat. Why Sabeans say that it is outdated?
Simply because they want to put you back under the spell of religion. Sabeans are basically another group of Muslim Nubians, which, is a part of the fraction of Nubians who are the great-grandchildren of the Cushite, which means black, of course, and who mixed in with the Dravidians, who are also another degree of black. You got to go from ether, as he spoke and read, in actually this first page of the scroll, and the second page of the scroll. So the Sabeans are basically doing the same thing they have done in the past, and that is debating and trying to distort the truth. Sabine and they call themselves Mu Sabatu, comes from the ancient word that just means to steal, to shackle, to swindle, to rob, to imprison, to distort, etc. We'll stop right there because it's all negative when we're talking about the holy tablets. Why they're doing it is because they're up to no good. They want money, they want to hide the truth, and they know that this makes you unbounded. This keeps you out of the box, trapped into a box is what they're trying to put everybody back in, where they can govern and control your money, etc., and your mind. Ooh.
Yeah, totally agree. And to keep it practical, because I'm a practical guy, teacher too. This book is copywritten under Dr. York's name, so legally they can't use it, which is why they're hating on it. Because if you read some of those new scrolls, they're completely going off the wall on the deep end with stuff that has nothing to do with what's in the tablets or what he taught us for like 30, 40, 50 years. So
Okay.
to me, go ahead.
Okay. In the Holy Tablets, it mentioned the story with Isa or Jesus, right? And correct. These religious characters that they have in the Holy Tablets. What I want to know, if these people are real.
You mean real like us? Okay, so you got to go back to the degree of Christism is what you're talking about. Those or the Christians is the translation in the Holy Tablets that we're talking about since we're dealing with this book, right? A lot of the translations from
like the stories, what happened, like when he was in the garden and the Roman arresting guards come to arrest him, and these things that wrote in the tablet. I want to know if this is real, if this really happened, or it's just a story, a religious story.
We would have to ask the same about everything we were taught about history. Was it really real, or was it just stories? Right? From my interpretation and comprehension and perception, they were translated. When Doc is telling you about the Christians in the Holy Tablets, it's coming from the translation of the Book of Barnabas. It's coming from the Essenes, the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's coming from a collective writing system, right? It was called the Shahuf, right? So it is history. Now, whether I believe if they actually existed, from my experience with Dr. York, I don't think he was spending 50 years telling us some stuff that wasn't true. I think what he had trouble doing is clearing up what was already messed up about the translation of the stories. So yeah, I think they existed, just like I think Osiris existed, because I can see him on the wall. You feel me? And as far as where Dr. York said that he got it from, he said he got it from the Shahus. Said he got it from the Book of Barnabas, right? It was given to him by a man named Mahmoud in Aswan. So if he got it from there, he translated it and he taught it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to acknowledge it as a part of our history. Now, here's the real thing about it. Who cares if they existed or not? I really don't personally care, because we here right now. And if this Holy Tablet is our history, I'm going to study it. I'm going to use it to help myself. But unless they come down and physically get in front of me, a lot of the history is going to be good resource information for you to build yourself up. So a lot of it, as far as our past with Abraham and going all the way back to Adam, man, that's a great history, right? Now, when they show up, yeah, I'll acknowledge it 1,000% then. But for right now, it's a tool, it's an aid to kind of get us to see that all the stories we were fed about our creation didn't really start with them. They were really talking about us. And whether these individuals live these lives word for word, verbatim, man, we would have to meditate with that on a whole different level. Because I've had memories of some of the things that I've been taught, and a nigga done woke up in his dream actually there. So I'm like, yeah, that's real to me, but I can't make what's real to me real to you. You follow what I'm saying? You got to experience it, read the stories, research, and go through all the things that your mind is testing you to go through to confirm it within your soul. But I'm gonna say, yeah, they existed to me, you know. But I was brought up different. You feel me? I was brought up with a grandmother who actually believed in Jesus, and she thought this dude was white. And when I started reading like Knowledge at 12, I'm like, look, Grandma, this is what he really looked like. She was like, oh, that's right, baby, that's true. So that made me acknowledge, oh, this shit true. That's what he looked like. So that's my personal story of how I confirm what's in these translations as being authentic to me. So I can't really answer in detail, were they really real for you? But for me, they were.
We make God mad. I really believe that the pagans.
Horus was born on December 25th of the Virgin Isis Mary. His birth was accompanied by a star in the east, which, in turn, 3 kings followed to locate and adorn the newborn Savior. At the age of 12, he was a prodigal child teacher, and at the age of 30, he was baptized by a figure known as Anup, and thus began his ministry. Horus had 12 disciples he traveled about with, performing miracles such as healing the sick and walking on water. Horus was known by many gestural names such as the Truth, the Light, God's Anointed Son, the Good Shepherd, the Lamb of God, and many others. After being betrayed by Typhon, Horus was crucified, buried for 3 days, and thus resurrected.
Go ahead, Brad. You got a question, concern?
Sorry, I have a lot of questions. I don't know how much time you all have, so I'll make this one the last question, and next time I'll ask more questions. Which holy tablet is the actual, well, the good one, I should say, that have no errors in it? Because I have a red one, and I'm not sure if it have any errors in it.
If you got a red one, then I remember having a red, green, a black, a white one, a beige one. That was from, sounds like the first series that was released in 1996, which had this publisher that did a lot of misprinting in the tablets and putting things in the wrong place and switching names. So I would recommend if you could find a second edition, which is what we're reading from tonight.
We have it.
Okay.
How would I know? How would I know if it's the second edition? Because I don't know the difference.
It would
The
be
cover.
The cover will have, yes, it would be the cover.
Okay.
We have it. Yeah.
You what he said, brother. He said we have it. So just reach out to the house of who.
Sure, no problem. I could lie by you.
And to be honest, family, this class is going to go to actually, I think is it 8? It's already 8. Wow.
I was going to say 2 hours is up.
Wow.
I know it's interesting.
Hey, I appreciate it, family. I definitely appreciate it. Go ahead.
I have one thing to say, a comment to the brother that said, whether the stories are real or not. Okay, you can look up an article, that say, it says 1500-year-old Bible, on earth. It's a Syriac, Galilean, Arabic Bible. And this Bible says that, Paul, was a deceiver, and that, he never met, the real Messiah, and that, Yahshua, was married to Mary Magdalene and had children. Now, this just came out, a couple years ago about this Bible, the 1500-year-old Syrian, Galilean, Arabic. Now, the Supreme Grand Master Teacher put out, a scroll called, St. Paul, Disciple Deceiver, saying the same things before this actual article came out. So that should, get some validity, to whether the stories are real or not, brother.
Thank you, family. Appreciate that, man. Well, hey, it's like the brother said, man. Dang, 2 hours went kind of quick. But man, I appreciate the opportunity to get to share this teaching session, man. It's my first one. I wanted to do the Holy Tablets because to me, this is our bread and butter, family. This is our foundation, right? And you can kind of tell it's our foundation because those claiming to be greater than the Nuwapians don't even want to touch it. It's untouchable. You know what I'm saying?
The Holy Tablets, my gun.
Hey, bang, bang. He told us. So family, with that, man, I wish peace and blessings to everyone.
One more question, brother. This 4th edition, is that 4th edition legitimate? That's out.
4th edition?
No,
I only know 3.
no, there's
It's only
only
3 editions.
anything after his incarceration is BS.
Throw it away. Throw it away. Anything that
Anything that came after he was taken, you must
Right.
So you say
throw it away.
the actual facts and patriarch is not authentic.
Garbage.
That would be correct,
in
sir.
the trash.
That would be correct. That was
In the
correct.
trash.
Garbage.
My father said this, as he said, every 25,000 years for the renewal of your way of life. What? Nuwapo. He said, I come giving you what you want. Now I'm going away. He said they're going to come take me, right?
Right.
What happened, what you did, what did you do with Nuwapo? What did the Sabeans do with Nuwapo? They changed the language, changed the stories, came out with actual facts which they took from the Nation of Islam via the 1960s, from the solar facts, actual facts in the supreme mathematics. So I come giving what you want, which is Nuwapo. Now you got to learn what I come to give, which is Nuwapo.
Yeah.
You follow? But they lost.
And that's the same thing the messenger. I came out of the Nation of Islam, and that's the same thing that the messenger said. When I leave, don't change the teachings. And that's what happened after he left. People took his mantle and started changing. Say he's still alive. This one says he's still alive, and so you had all these factions that came out. But that what he told them was, don't change my teaching.
That's right. That's right. That's the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the real one.
That's right. Most honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
Yeah. That's real. That's real. Man, we gotta get that second edition,
that's Brother Donald. I was Brother Donald X at that time.
Okay.
That's good. That's good.
Welcome, brother. Welcome to the family, brother. Real talk. Welcome. Hey, we got to get you got to get a holy tablet. Everybody need to have one. Everybody need to have their hands on one or the digital version of one. Because to me, once most of my tabernacle circle here in Tennessee, they kind of start shifting to that Sabean, because to me, they had costumes, and it was exciting to people who look at the outside and not really read the books and really get the essence of what's in the books. And I'm telling them, yo, these books say something different than them new books. And they was like, no, brother, see, times have changed, and this is outdated. And I said, but right here said 25,000 years, and chapter 19 is like, until the world has ended, we kind of still here. So what are y'all doing?
Most people, most Sabeans, if you notice, they don't even want the Sabean Sabbatic language. They are always coming to the Nubic, Nuwapic language still, because their heart, their soul is still is connected. Their root is to Nuwabu, but yet their mind is confused, and that's why it goes astray. You must align it together. This is the time where you stay on your square.
Who do you think run this organization? Because I think it's agents and some people that sold out actually running the organization, because I ask specific questions like, where you all actually getting these books? They say that when they go and visit Pops tell them what to do. And when I ask the question, where's the actual facts, where's the proof, where anything that I can see for myself, because he always said, don't believe anything, check it out. So when I'm asking these questions, there's no actual written document for me to see. So I'm asking, is it agents that take over the organization and running it? Because
you're not asking, your soul is telling you, your actual highest being is telling you that. See, the master teacher he's been convicted of and sentenced of racketeering. And with racketeering, you are not allowed to speak or teach or anything to anybody within your organization or have any affiliation by law.
Yes.
No directives.
Or directives or anything whatsoever. He is not writing these scrolls. What they're doing is they tell you to don't look at the old scroll, so they can go into the old scroll, change the language, and give you real fast pamphlets to make money real fast. He can never be removed from prison because of medical, especially a federal prison, which has more money by credit than anybody. He will never be able to move because of his medicational issues. They will just bring the surgeon or whatever need to be over there. He can never be moved. Yes, so this is all lies. This is all lies, and we will, and with truth, that's why they say go to facts. And if you look at the word facts, it means crime, from the Latin word factos, de facto, etc. You have to understand that. My father, the master teacher, our father, would say truth is truth. Not truth is facts. Not facts is facts. Truth is truth, and that's what we deal with. And it's transparent. It's responsibility. A lot of people do not want to do the studies. It's too lazy. So they say, okay, let's change it. Next year is going to be the same thing. New lawyer from Africa. He's going to be born from somewhere else.
Yep.
And, and then there's going to be new information. Unless Nuwapians, Kushites, stand up with the truth. Stand up.
What if you hear a video that Pop's talking and saying that he's going to be out soon and he's working with them to go into Ghana?
This is cloning. This is called image cloning and voice cloning.
It's called Voice AI, and
it's a hyper-realistic voice changer that allows you to sound like anyone you want, like Barack Obama.
Or even the current president of the United States.
It's also impressive how easily it turns a male voice into a female voice and vice versa.
As well as detects and applies nuances to the voice like raspiness and depth.
Which means that it can turn your voice, regardless of how it is, into the voice of anyone, like a celebrity or any character, basically. This entire video was recorded by me just talking into the microphone normally.
Let me know what you thought of these voices, and if you want to test it yourself, go to voice.ai and check it out. It's actually free.
You can pay $25 to $32 a month to have voice cloning, and it can read anything. All they have to do is put a video of him speaking into the computer. The computer recognizes the voice. And then you can also have the racial cloning, where you can do it live, where you take his picture and point it on your picture by points on a camera and talk. This is what they're doing. You follow that? If the master teacher know his assignment, there will not be a prayer to God like, oh God, to a ghost in the sky. Why? What happened? My family did this to me, as if he don't know. He tells you what his purpose is and how long he has and how long we have to get it right. The hourglass is almost empty. The time is now, because we are now a being, new beings. We'll build again.
Okay, no problem.
Wadu, brother. And that would conclude this session, this class of the Holy Tablets. I thank all the family for tuning in. But I do got to say to my brother, I affectionately call that moment Thunderclap Academy for breaking it down like that. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right, family.
All right.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I will end it with all that. Abdul Kul Bazum Tafel Tat Wadana Bet Mabu Hadis Aishu Unikalu. Anuki Aishu Shukalu Wakula Shukalu. Na Atakuna Fikalu. Anuki Ferragun Shukalu Wakaluka Ferragun Shimi. Anuki Wahid Kakalu Wakalukalu Wahid Man. Look Aikilu, Anjiu, Kama Ferragun Shukalu, Hukama Feidu, look Aikilu, Ahuinu, Udik, Ahuidu Fikalu, Kama Tawu Kama Kafazi Kalu, Ami to Fikalu. Anuki Kaba Hawa, Kalu Nanuki, Kalu Yaku, look Aikilu, Kalu Bamu, Amilu. Okay, that's say. Begin our prayers, deeds, and thanking with who? Divine love and awe. I am in the love of all, and all love is me. We are all in all. I am a part of all, and all is a part of me. I am one with all, and all is one with me. I can succeed as a part of all and fail as an individual. I can be all I wish in all as long as my wish is to stay in all. I am never alone. All is I am. All can I can. All does I do. Kaun Fiend.
Kaun
Fiend.
One the fiddle shot what I do. Sorry.
Who shit?
What do?
What do?